Hey guys, Chicago injury lawyer Scott DeSalvo here, shooting you another video. And today's video topic is, what is the settlement process? What happens after we agree to settle? How long does it take? What happens behind the scenes? Why does it take so long for me to get my money after we settle the case? Okay? So the first thing you have to understand is, it's not like the insurance company settles the case and then immediately sends out checks. Step one is we have to get what is called a release, okay? Now in workers' comp, it's a settlement contract. And so the release or settlement contract is usually prepared by the defense lawyer or the insurance company. So that means we have to wait for them to draw a contract up called a release with all the terms of the settlement in it. And if it's a workers' comp case, we have to have them do the settlement contract. It's usually a 2-page document with attachments to it that, delineates in writing the terms of the settlement. Now, there can be a delay here. There's often a delay here if the terms written in the settlement contract or the release aren't what we agreed to. That does happen. Or if they get factual information wrong. I just settled a case for a guy for well into the 6 figures, big case, and they put the wrong date. They put the wrong date on the release, and they didn't catch it. So things like that have to get corrected. Or sometimes they will put terms in there, like terms that we didn't agree to, like confidentiality, like a confidentiality provision saying that you can't tell anyone about the lawsuit, the settlement, the amount of the settlement, who the defendants were, all this, and if you tell anyone, they can sue you and all this crap. There's a way that has to be phrased in a settlement contract. Otherwise, it can turn your entitled settlement into taxable income, right? So a lot of people don't know this, but when you settle an injury case, none of it is taxable. So let's say you make $40,000 a year normally for your job or whatever, right? And then you settle a case for $100,000. In normal circumstances, you still only claim $40,000 on your taxes for that year. But if your lawyer doesn't catch the confidentiality term in the release, it can convert. You'll be paying $140,000. You'll be paying taxes on $140,000 in income. So that's a pretty big deal, and that's why lawyers need to read releases and go back and forth with the insurance company or the defense attorney on occasions. But usually that's not a big deal. Usually that's something that we can get worked out in a week or two. We get the release, I'll go back and forth. Sometimes I'll just modify the release myself with the correct language, and I rarely get a problem with that if I do it that way. If I know that they're a stickler, I'll call them and we have to haggle and go back and forth. So once the release is signed and we send it back to the insurance company, then we get one check, one big check. That's the gross settlement check. And that gross settlement check, by law, must be deposited in a special bank account that injury lawyers have. It's called a trust account. In Illinois, it's called an IOLTA account. It just stands for it's like a Illinois lawyer's trust account. Different states have different names, but lawyer trust account applies no matter what state you're in. We're required by law to put that money in there, and Illinois has a law that they passed, 8 years ago or something like that, 6 or 8 years ago, as of the time of shooting this video, that says that there's a time limit for us to send us the check, and it can't have a bunch of names on it. It's just got to be my name and my client's name so that it's easy to cash, right? But it also means that I have to guarantee that any known claim against the case has to get paid out, right? So we get the check. That's stage 2. Can take a month to get the check alone. Stage 3 is working out all those numbers, right? So let's say you have a car crash case. You have a car crash case, and let's say you have health insurance that paid the hospital bill. You had doctors you saw, 3 more doctors after the crash, and all of them have liens. Well, I have to work out the liens of the doctors And if the health insurance company sent me a letter saying they want to subrogate, in other words, they want to get paid out of your settlement, then I'm required by the health insurance contract to contact them and work out a deal with them. In other words, we got to pay the treating doctors some of your settlement. We got to pay the health insurance back some of your settlement. Now, if you are a Medicare or Medicaid recipient, so you get benefits for Social Security, disability, or Medicare through the federal government, or you get health insurance or payments through Medicaid, public aid, Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services, or whatever the equivalent is in your state, those are what are called super liens. So they don't have to send us anything, but I have to affirmatively reach out to them and find out if they want any money paid back. And depending on the case, the time of year, the circumstances, that can be a time-consuming process. So usually what we do on my cases is I try to identify whether you're a Medicare or Medicaid recipient right away, and I open up a file with them so that when we resolve the case, it's 30 days, 60 days to get a number, right? And oftentimes they'll send me a number that says, no, we don't have anything. Or sometimes they send me a number of stuff that's not related, in which case I have to go back and forth with them and say, look, you're claiming that his appendicitis is related to the car crash. It's not. These are the only charges that are related. It's a much lower number. And then, they give me a payoff number. So it's a little bit different in liens with doctors and hospitals. I do the math based on the lien law in the state of Illinois and come up with a number, and I show them my math, and they usually 80-90% of the time just sign off on the deal. It's different with public aid or Medicaid or Medicare, right? Because they want to know what the charges were, and then they tell me what we have to pay them back. Now, we can appeal it, but the appeals process doesn't work very well. Years and years ago, it used to work okay with the federal government, but they're not really granting too many appeals. So my point is, behind the scenes, that third step, working out all those numbers and knocking those bills down to put as much money in your pocket as possible, is one of the most complicated, frustrating, and important things that a lawyer does for you behind the scene, right? Now, I'm very aggressive about getting offers out, and so in my office, it's often 30 days. Within 30 days, we pretty much understand what's going on, and we know what's going on, and we take care of what needs to get taken care of pretty quick. Now, once we have signed agreements with everyone who has a claim against the case, and by the way, that would include a lawsuit loan company. So if you took out a lawsuit loan on your case, which I never recommend, unless you literally have no other option, because they're very expensive. The interest rates and the processing fees are very, very high on lawsuit loans. But, we have to call them and work those out too. Sometimes I can get them to take a reduction, but they're under no obligation to give us a reduction because you signed a contract. It's a loan, right? But anyway, if it's a tough one and there's a bunch of other liens, a lot of times they'll play ball a little bit. They're not happy about it, but it's the advantage of having a pretty successful law firm. They know who I am. They know I have a lot of clients. They usually want to ingratiate themselves to me to some degree, which works for my clients' benefits. If we have a tough one that we need to negotiate on, it may take me a dozen phone calls to do it, but that's the job, right? So once all the liens are worked out, then it's step 4. You sign the agreement and you get your check, right? And so that's basically the settlement process for an injury case. Now, in the state of Illinois, there are no liens on workers' comp cases, and there are a million other complications that can come up that can delay or slow down a settlement. So I would say if you have an injury case and the settlement is delayed more than 60 days, then you should get on the phone and have your lawyer explain to you what the delay is. Believe me, like most cases are pretty straightforward, but I have been involved in cases that were absolutely crazy, that had a million liens. We had lien holders coming out of the woodwork after the case was settled. Just bizarre, doctor's offices who would not agree to take what they were entitled under the law, craziness like that, right? That kind of stuff can really slow the case down. Or Medicare or Medicaid delaying an answer to getting back to us on an injury case. That stops the case in their tracks, because I can't do the math on the case and give you a settlement statement to sign showing what all the numbers are if I don't know what the numbers are, right? So, even though a lot of people, I think, just imagine that once the lawyer settles the case, it's easy street, it really isn't. It's a ton of work, it's a ton of paperwork, it's a ton of back and forth, it's a ton of haggling, and the goal is, obviously, every dollar I take away from somebody else goes to you, which is why, we work really hard on getting those liens reduced for injured people. So the entire process can take as quick as 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or it can be several months. I would say usually 30 to 60 days on the vast majority of cases, occasionally 90 days or something like that, although usually if it takes longer than that, I talk to the client, explain what's going on. Because you have to. It's the right thing to do. If you have a lawyer who's not explaining it to you, you need to sit them down and just say, look, you need to tell me what the delay is. I know that this is only supposed to take 30 days or maybe 60 days. So anyway, I hope that this is actually a viewer's question, and I think I recorded a video on this a long time ago, but I think I did a better job explaining it today. But anyway, I hope that information helps you, it edifies you, it answers your questions. So if you or anyone you know needs an injury lawyer, I offer a free consultation anytime, night or day. You can reach me at 312-500-4500. That's 312-500-4500. I listen to what happened. I answer your questions. I tell you what I think. If it's a case, we can proceed. If it's a slam dunk one, I tell you that. If there are some challenges, I tell you that. I try to be honest with people at every stage of the game, okay? And if you don't want to hire me or I don't want to take the case, we still part as friends. I'm not a high-pressure guy. So maybe you're not ready to talk to a lawyer, or maybe you have questions that you want an insight into your situation without talking to a lawyer. Well, I got you covered. I have the Case Cash Calculator. It's a tool on my website that tells you what your settlement value on your case might be. So there's like 7 multiple choice questions. You can answer them in 10 or 15 seconds, and then you get custom answers. You get custom insight into your situation about your case value. I also have the Good Case Calculator. It's the same thing. It's a totally different calculator, but it's 6 or 8 multiple choice questions. You answer the questions about your specific situation, and it gives you insight into your case about whether you might have a really strong case or whether you might have a case that has some real problems, right? So that is the deal there. And the cool part is those are on my website and they're completely free. Use them as many times as you want. Share them with friends. No obligation, completely free, easy to use, written in plain English. So check them out. I'll leave the links in the description. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe to my channel so you get notified when I shoot a new video and release it. Hit the bell icon so that you're notified of every new video. Otherwise, you may not get notified. And if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate that too. But if you really feel generous today, and you maybe got a consultation from me, or you're a current or former client, or you just enjoy my videos and wouldn't mind helping me out, very competitive market in personal injury. We've got multi-millionaires advertising everywhere. We got lawyers using ambulance chasers, doing outbound calls from police reports. I don't do any of that. I only do ethical advertising, and most of my clients come from current and former clients referring me people, which is the greatest compliment you can really pay me. But people really rely on Google reviews when they're deciding what lawyer to hire. So if you wouldn't mind leaving me a 5-star review on Google, I make it really easy for you. I'll leave the link in the description. All you do is go to that webpage address on your tablet, phone, or computer. It takes you right to the review page. Hit 5 stars, say a kind word, hit submit, literally takes you 5 or 10 seconds, but it is a huge favor for me, and I would really appreciate it. So that's all I got for you today, folks. I hope you and the family are doing well, but if God forbid anyone isn't and you have questions, please reach out at 312-500-4500. That's 312-500-4500. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the subscriptions. Thanks for sharing the video with your friends. I really appreciate it. And once again, if I can do anything for you or your family, give me a holler. Thanks so much. Take care. Have a great day.